Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Mike Triplett joins us, neworleans.football. Mike, just like we all thought, right? 47-10, best week one in the history of the Saints organization. We all nailed it, didn't we?
I think I predicted 45-7. Go back and check the tape. It was something like that.
The tape was burned, unfortunately, from last week, Mike. So we'll just have to take your word. We'll have to take your word for it. That's exactly
right,
what you. That's exactly what you picked. Okay, no, for real though. Get some reaction to. I mean, it's just that was about as clean a game as you could ever have imagined seeing the Saints play.
No, I mean, you have to feel so good about it. You have to feel cautious. You have to feel apprehensive. Week one is always a weird week. It might have said just as much, if not more, about Carolina than it did about the Saints. And frankly, throughout this entire, I think maybe this is one of the things we all miss when we talked about, well, the Saints, they went 9-8, 7-10, 9-8. It didn't feel very exciting, but to do that, you just always stay ahead of the real bottom feeders of the league. And the Saints have consistently done that. They've always been better than the teams worse than them. They just haven't been able to be, better than the middle of the pack. So we're going to learn a lot more about them when they play Dallas, Philadelphia, and Kansas City over the next 4 weeks. But without question, we wanted to know that Clint Kubiak had some solutions, and it's impossible not to feel good about what we saw from him.
What was the best part of Kubiak's plan offensively that you saw Sunday?
Well, like I said, I had modest expectations that he just has practical, common sense solutions to, hey, let's run the ball better. Let's make it 2nd and 6. Let's do play action. Derek Carr's always been really good at play action. Let's use some motion. Let's use Alvin Kamara and get him in space because he's better in space. Let's use Taysom Hill how he should be used. And I did not think that meant we would see 17-yard runs and 12-yard runs left and right throughout the entire first half, but it just kind of emboldened my take that, him and his staff, which also includes a lot of veteran guys who've been running this a long time, or Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak. They just have, practical solutions. And I think even when they face tougher opponents, we will at least feel like they look competent, like they know what they're doing.
Have you seen the patent analytics play caller ratings? The chart?
I did. I
did. You don't need to know anything about this if you haven't seen it. It's this grid where it's like effectively who was good and who was bad. And last year, Pete Carmichael was so far on the opposite end of the worst. And today, if you look at it, Clint Kubiak is the complete opposite, like so far on the opposite end of good. I mean, it is the literal definition of like a 180. It was a complete inverse of what we saw a year ago. I mean, it was. And
you don't need analytics to tell you that. You just need your eyes.
Yes.
I mean, and look, play calling is always results. I mean, I spent how many years covering Sean Payton, and when it didn't work, his play calling was too cute and too exotic, and when it didn't work because he was running people into the line, he wasn't being aggressive. Like, play calling is always a hindsight analysis, but it's obvious their play calling was a miserable failure the last couple of years, and a large part of it was Pete Carmichael. I think it was also not really good offensive line play, but I think if you don't have good offensive line play, then you need to be able to find out how you can scheme your way around it, and that's what it feels like this staff appear to be capable of doing.
We'll get a much better answer of it Sunday against Dallas. Is Taliesin Fuanga going to play?
Yes, but when he's limited on Wednesday and then he's out of practice completely on Thursday, that's really daunting.
If he's not available, what do they do?
Based on their usage throughout camp, I think Landon Young is probably the next man up at left tackle, which, isn't great, but he's a fourth-year pro. He's been around this entire offseason learning the system, backing him up, getting the backup snaps there. But look, I mean, Fuaga played great in the first game, and he's the guy that we were most confident in of the two tackles coming in. So now to make both of them huge question marks before you face Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, there's no way to sugarcoat that. Like I said, though, you got to hope they scheme their way around it. You got to hope they keep them off balance with the run game and play action and quick passing game and just things that don't allow the defense to get home.
What about on the other side with Marshon Lattimore, who also didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday? If he's out, pretty daunting, the thought of trying to cover CeeDee Lamb.
You feel a little bit better about the depth at that position. We saw Paulson Adebo do it all last year, and you feel good about him. Alontae Taylor has been one of the most improved players of the summer. He showed that again in week one. You feel good about that spot. Feel good about the safeties right now. So, if they go lose Lattimore and bring up Kool-Aid McKinstry, it's a big hit, but I would still not as daunting as, what are you down to now at the position? But obviously Lattimore is irreplaceable when it comes to, how talented he is.
This has been the Saints and Cowboys been a little bit of a back and forth, I don't want to call it a rivalry, but just series where they just seem to flip-flop wins. Dallas won in New Orleans back in 2021. When you look at this guy, I know you don't cover the Cowboys, Mike, but do you look at this matchup as anywhere on the field favoring New Orleans?
Yeah, probably. I think they're good at some things, and now that you say that, matchup specific, I'm trying to decide where. Trayvon Diggs is a really good corner for Dallas, but for the first half of this season, they lost their other corner who broke out last year and had all the pick sixes. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Can the speed of Olave and Shaheed and the big play ability test their secondary? Absolutely. Dallas doesn't have a very good run game. If the Saints can stop their run and make them one-dimensional, they don't have Tyron Smith anymore. Ezekiel Elliott is not what Ezekiel Elliott used to be. So there are some areas. I mean, look, the Dallas Cowboys obviously have not been a perfect team. Every year we're talking about whether or not Mike McCarthy is going to get fired because they're underachieving. But man, the talent that they have in all the key spots where we say it's important to have talent, they hit just about every one of them.
Deron Bland?
Yeah, Deron Bland.
Yeah, so...
they also have a kicker that can kick from about 70 yards out.
The Saints have a kicker who was 4 for 4 and made both from 50 plus. Did they waste all of the good stuff in 1 week?
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We do a segment called 3 Up and 3 Down, and I think we had about 39 ups to choose from.
Yeah, man, it was incredible. I mean, it was all three phases. It was pretty incredible to watch how it all transpired, and hopefully they can find some of that Sunday in Dallas. Mike Triplett's with us at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Our convo is brought to you by Benny's Car Wash, bennyscarwash.com. People stop Mike in New Orleans all the time and compliment how clean his car is, all because of Benny's, bennyscarwash.com. How important is the result Sunday, considering what we've talked about with the first 5 games of the season, how difficult we thought before the season they would be?
Yeah. I don't think the result is super important. I thought, if you just look at their schedule and you pick all the games they should be favored in and all the games they should be favored to lose, you can come up with, 9-8, 10-7, winning the NFC South. Even if you pick them to start, 2-4, because some of their toughest games are, you could have them lose to Dallas, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and the wins can come later. I thought the more important thing about starting fast was perception. Keep the fans engaged, keep the players in the locker room engaged. They've been really bought in, and this was really good to, keep that buy-in. That's why I thought it would have been a disaster to start slow, to lose that game, to get behind, to have people lose their enthusiasm. I think that first game is going to go really far in, hey, we know what we can be. So even if they hit a skid where they can't beat Dallas, they can't beat Kansas City, they can be like, all right, let's get back to 500. We got an easy schedule in the second half. We know how good we can be. I don't think the result is massively important. I think if they win this game, though, all of a sudden we're just talking about them in an entirely different conversation. Now it's are they the favorites to win the NFC South? Or are we talking about a playoff? I mean, if they win it, it changes the conversation drastically.
Saints at Cowboys, noon Central on Sunday. You can read about it over at neworleans.football, neworleans.football. You can follow him on Twitter at Mike Triplett, courtesy of Benny's Car Wash, with us every Thursday here. Always appreciate it, man. Thanks for the visit.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.